Y'all have been hearing about the Clubhouse buzz. Have y'all been hearing about the Clubhouse buzz, Benny? John, you been hearing
Negative.
about the Clubhouse
Not
buzz?
yet. Not yet.
No? Well, you got to go check out the Clubhouse buzz. It's this huge, what, Benny? We're
No,
nodding.
just keep going.
Okay. I'm like, yeah, I thought there was a joke lingering in there, and I was
No,
going
I'm
to
like,
be
we all want to know.
okay.
Bring it forward.
The Clubhouse, it's this whole platform where people come in and they're doing public speaking, and you can get pretty raw and juicy and yummy. And I have just been invited. They launched I think three or four. They've had three or four shows or podcasts, and we are going to talk about sex and the gateway to awakening. And I love this conversation because I talk about intimacy on a whole new level, meaning mind, body, and spirit, and that whole liberation. So we're going to be doing that Wednesday at 12:30. So you can look for that. I think it's called Sex as a Gateway to Awakening. And Brenda and Natalie are going to be hosting that, and I get to be a guest speaker. What is that? Just because.
Sexy.
I know. Just because. Okay. Wow. All right. I love this. I love having my guests. I really, really do. And John's joining us saying he's fit right into the whole family. And I'm going to preface this whole conversation, you guys. We're going to be talking about a serious conversation, not only about cannabis, about grief, the emotions around that, why it's important to have this conversation, because I've been hearing so much like water cooler conversation, not the facts, not the quality. And I said, you know what? I'm curious. I want to have this conversation. And John, who's joining us today, we're going to have that conversation with the full intention that we're going to give you a newfound education, some love and some background, especially around the grief and the quality of cannabis that you can provide your body, your loved one's body, and to help them through their transition. So with that being said, today's guest is John Malanca. I am saying that correctly. So for backs, they were trying to tease me about how to pronounce his name. That's a running joke with all of us. All right, so John Malanca has been a go-to expert and trusted professional in education and information in medical cannabis and the health and wellness sector since 2011. He has extensive knowledge of cannabis, and you're going to make me say that, endocannabinoid system. Did I pronounce it?
Endocannabinoid system, correct.
Wow, that's such a big word, John.
It took 11 years, but I did it.
Great show. Show's over.
Yeah,
Congratulations, bro.
I know. Thank you, John. And more so, patients' needs and disease care, along with genuine concern for his audience. He's passionate about helping patients, doctors, and families navigate an ever-changing industry. And it's fact and juicy and the real stuff. John, welcome, my love. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning to you both. Actually, the whole audience. So thanks for having me on, Sue. This has been exciting.
Welcome.
Yeah, exciting so far, huh?
Yeah, and I got the name right. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, exactly.
Even through your guys' teasing me. Hey. All right, the go-to expert. John, yes, I do the formal bio. Let's get to know you. I want the audience to hear you and just take it.
So, my go-to expert. So my background has been branding, marketing, advertising for years. And cannabis, it really wasn't I wasn't in college. I think I stopped using cannabis at 21, and I'm 53 now. And I started again, I think, around 44, 45. How and why I am where I am today is because my father-in-law back in 2011, Super Bowl Sunday, I was outside barbecuing, and he came up as I'm flipping burgers or whatever we were eating back then. He has something to share with you. And I said, what's that? He goes, I'm thinking new car, a vacation, I don't know, whatever. He said, I have lung cancer. And I just looked at him, and just to show you the repercussions of smoking, he hadn't smoked for over 30 years. And so any of your listeners out there, stop now, because you don't want to be in that position. Anyway, so out of shock, I said, what are you gonna do? He said, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do a round of chemo. I have it, he was confident, I should say. It ended up metastasizing to a brain. Metastasis to the brain or any other part of the body means that it's stage 4. So and it's one area. So he had stage 4 lung cancer, which had mets to the brain. So it wasn't brain cancer, it was lung cancer, which spread to the other parts of the body.
Okay.
And my father had passed about a year and a half prior. So it was very fragile for me at that point, losing my best friend. And so they hadn't lost anybody yet, really, because Corinne's parents, grandparents were still alive at 98 and 97. And they've been together since age 16. So isn't that what life is about? Isn't that what life is about? And so I have chills even saying that. And so he ended up doing a round of chemo, excuse me, for the lungs when it metastasized to his brain. He did a round of radiation and just knocked him on his butt. And when I say knocked him on his butt, he was a 77-year-old man, very active, retired dentist, Stanford grad, educated man, and very humble. And he went from this to literally, for your audience that can't see, I'm lying down like in bed but full-time 24/7 oxygen. And he looked like death. He looked like death. He looked like a prisoner of war that hadn't eaten for months and months and months. And so we started researching. When you're thrown into something as serious as cancer, you start researching everything. And if it says eat your mouse, you would do anything. I mean, there are things we saw of. I said, do you like asparagus? And he said, why? And I said, because I came across an article that showed asparagus, not farmer's market, Whole Food, or anything else like that, but canned asparagus. So I started eating asparagus. And so I said, I would like to go to your next oncologist appointment. And one thing that Corinne and I came across was a percentage that 40% of cancer patients pass from malnutrition before cancer, wasting stages. And so I said, may I go to your next oncology appointment? And so picked him up, wheeled him in, full-time oxygen. And we were in a room with my in-laws, my wife, Corinne, and the doctor. And basically asked how much time we had. And the doctor looked at us in shock and looked at me. And he said, this is my family. Please tell us. She said, 2 weeks. And so through tears, more so on my side, I said, there has to be something. What can we do? She said, I give you morphine. And he said, I'm not in any pain. And I looked at my wife and in-laws and I said, and the doctor, I said, I don't mean to offend you. What about cannabis for appetite stimulation? Appetite stimulation, not even knowing the medical benefits. Doctor said, I know nothing about this. And again, I was the boyfriend then. And so who's a stupid boyfriend coming in? It's like, I mean, never.
Thank God for you, right?
Oh my gosh. And so never even had this discussion about anything. And that's the first time it's come up. And I'm thinking, what's their reaction to be like, Corinne, get rid of this guy. What's he trying to do? So anyway, I said, deem Corinne the caregiver. And I called her Mary Poppins because in my mind, she was pure. And I even used that in our wedding vows. I'm finally marrying Mary Poppins. Oh, you're gonna make me cry, Sue. And that's how Corinne was. And I said, deem Corinne, and she looked at me with like deer eyes, in the headlights, like, what am I gonna do? I know nothing. I mean, she didn't even drink, smoke, nothing. And I said, it's easier with the family members going through this. And so that's what we did. So we deemed Corinne. We went down to the dispensary, and dispensaries back in 2011 to where we are today in 2021. You're in Oregon, Betty's up there in Washington. We are all legal states, but night and day. Then it would have a labeling. It would say one labeling, it was to be enough for, one dose, and it was the size of a candy bar that could feed the Seattle Seahawks. That's hard to say because I'm a 49er fan down here. As Benny just fell out of his chair there.
I know.
I mean,
I forgot. This is 11:50 a.m. Seattle. Oh, so Benny's like, thank you. The show is over. I apologize. My aunt and uncle live in Seattle. I just don't like losing. Maybe that's what it is.
Oh,
you guys have our number, so I'll leave it at that.
Nice.
So, am I back on with your audience, or do we lose them all there?
No, we're good. We're good. Keep going. You're good.
So, so back there was there really wasn't any direction. It was the blind leading the blind, and no guidance, no United Patients Group. The dispensaries we walked in literally had a label that was you just printed off your Xerox that morning, and it was like cannabis, cannabis, cannabis. So in my mind, cannabis was all just the same. And so we ended up giving him a chocolate bar, and it just knocked him on his butt. And again, I was a stupid boyfriend going, God, what did I do? What did I do? So I went back and I said, oh boy, and it was embarrassed. It was more, I was scared, but I was embarrassed. And so I'm still thinking about the Seattle Seahawks comment.
No, scratch, swipe left or right or whatever that is.
Yeah, good. I don't even know. Delete.
Delete.
So we went back down. I said, there has to be something. Please, please, please trust. But, you know, so I went back down there, and Corinne and I found a coconut oil capsule. And the only reason we went with that is because I knew we could freeze it because it was oil-based. And we froze it. And it was with raw and heated cannabis, and I'll get into that in a second, with THC, THCA, CBD, and CBDA. Those are all cannabinoids, and cannabinoids are so cannabis has about 140 different cannabinoids. You know, some people say 160, some people say 120. So I'll meet you in the middle. But cannabinoids, THC is a cannabinoid, CBD is a cannabinoid, which we're hearing everywhere nowadays. On CBN, CBG, THCA. And so they all play a role in bringing the body back to homeostasis. And so all mammals, including now they're saying sea slugs, have something in our body called the endocannabinoid system, which you were having a little tongue twister on earlier.
Hey, now I got it, kind of.
You did. Quick learner. And so and I'll do cliff notes. So all mammals and sea slugs have something in our body called the endocannabinoid system. What it's craving is cannabinoids. And so this was proven back in the early 90s, showing that we all have, you know, all the systems in our body, and this is just another added one into our body, bringing the body back to homeostasis. And so each cannabinoid plays a role. Then really didn't know what a cannabinoid was. I just knew THC helped with munchies, bring it on. And so we ended up freezing that little capsule, and the whole capsule is about 10 milligrams. And we ended up giving him, you know, less is more, just to see how the body reacts. You know, how my body reacts differently than yours, as well as differently than you know, other males my age as well. Whose little puppy is that? Is that a
Sorry,
dog?
she's
No, I
all
love
the way
it.
in the kitchen,
You know what?
barking.
This is what I love about COVID. People go, I'm sorry with the kids. I said, this is life. I love it.
It's life. It's
I've
life.
had people go grab their dog and bring him on the show. So it's not affecting me at all. So the coconut oil capsule we gave him, we froze it, cut it into slivers, and within 24 hours, he started eating. And we said, awesome. So what we wanted to do happened. He wasn't uncomfortable. He wasn't totally stoned. And I'm back being invited to Christmas dinner again. You know, it's like, okay.
The boyfriend's bringing the cannabis.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, cool. He did nothing major. So, but day 2, day 3, day 5, he started getting, you know, you saw this complexion, but again, he was still in bed, full-time oxygen, 24/7. And we ended up getting the machine just sounded like death because it was.
Yeah. Ugh.
But we got,
that doesn't bring your body into homeostasis.
No.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Every morning we would call, did he make it through the night? Did he make it through the night?
Yep.
And around day 8, we go over there and he's out of bed shuffling, but really shuffling slowly. And then we looked at him, was like, what are you doing?
That's a win. That's a win.
But that's exactly what it was. So again, we did not know any of the medical benefits of this plant at that time. And so we said, he said, well, something's working. And I said, well, don't get too cocky here. And he started laughing. He said, well, but anyway, so as time we went on, not knowing anything, I'll fast forward 6 months, still in the same minute microdosing of 3 milligrams. Hospice fires him as a patient because now he's walking, he's driving, swinging a golf club. And so talk about like, oh my goodness.
6 months. 6 months. Wow.
And again, I don't want to ever give anybody false hope.
Right.
And I'm the first to say that cannabis is not, you know, it's funny, I always use the analogy of Willy Wonka, and you guys did prior to jumping on the show, or right, Brenda?
Yeah.
But I always say it's not the Willy Wonka golden ticket. So I don't want to give anybody, you know, I've seen this plant work and I've seen it not work. And so with us back then, it was the blind leading the blind, you know, higher, you know, powers, God. You know, I don't know what your religious belief is, but, you know, I believe in God. And so a lot of getting choked up here because of the rest of my story. But, you know, we just felt that we had, a helping hand. And so at the 6-month mark, Corinne and I had already started United Patients Group, thinking there has to be a million other families out there like us, where cannabis is not our lifestyle, not only for families, for patients, for doctors, nurses, even local, state, international governments to come to a site that they are comfortable researching. Someone coined
it's quality, and I want to bring that up to the audience, and especially if people are just joining us, we are talking some serious quality cannabis, but it's quality of life, and
quality of life.
Quality of life is super important. And if you can have, and whether it's a modality or a 3 milligrams of a slice of coconut oil and cannabis, and it within 6 months you're up and walking, and hospice is like, nope, out of here. But also, as a disclaimer, John, you were saying you've seen it work and not work. And what we're doing here, audience, if you're just tuning in, is we're talking to John Malanca, and he is the CEO of United Patients Group, and we're talking about quality cannabis, quality care, and how that can change your life and help you through the process of cancer or healing, and not the water cooler conversation, audience.
No.
This is real conversation. John, go ahead. I just was going to swing that in.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And again, I really want to mirror on that as well. This is, I don't want to ever give anybody false hope. And this is not, and I never use the word cure, and this is not a cure all. Take this and you're healed. And,
right.
and I'm a fan of combining modalities, if it's conventional, alternative, functional, integrative, as well as alternative. And if you can do, a 1, 2, 3, 5 punch in there, go for it. I mean, I'm a fan.
And you were just alluding at one stop shop. It's not. We all have different bodies. We all have different metabolisms. We all have different hormones. We all have different sizes. So it's not. You've got to really, figure out what fits for you.
Yeah, and you made a great point here, saying size. I always share it's not a one size fits all. So what works for me different than you. What works for you, Benny is different from us. So cannabis should be looked at, and I truly believe a medical professional should be involved. I remember we were all 20 and we all do something stupid, to go down to Mexico for the week. You're like, oh, we'll be drinking tequila for another 20 years, type of thing. And so, yeah, I know that happened when I was like I could taste it. So, but it's not a one size fits all. Age, weight, current health condition, type of ailment, the stage of ailment, your sensitivities, as well as drug to drug interactions should all be looked at. And that's why a doctor should be involved. Back then with us, there was no guidance. I mean, it was literally the blind leading the blind. And so at the 6-month mark, we incorporated fecal oil, FECO, which is full extract cannabis oil. Many people in the media, and I'm certain your audience, and maybe the two of you as well, have heard it called Rick Simpson oil, RSO oil. Rick Simpson oil, and I don't want to confuse everybody. It'd be like now I'm going to give props to Seattle again. So, so not really, probably they're going to get pissed at me again, but not well, I always say it's not all coffee is Starbucks, but the Seattle people are like, hell no.
No, you're good.
Okay, but not all cannabis oil is Rick Simpson oil. Rick Simpson, the reason we thought about cannabis oil was because of him, but his protocol, he's a Canadian that treated himself for skin cancer, not pancreatic, not breast, not lung, not brain, but skin cancer. He used a gram of oil, which I personally think is just way too much. And I'll give you an idea. My father-in-law, so he used a coconut oil capsule. At the 6-month mark, we incorporated the fecal oil, full extract cannabis oil. Why rice grains are a way of measurement in this industry, I have no idea. But in a gram of rice and a gram of oil, it's about 16 or 17 rice grains, white rice grains.
Okay.
That's a gram. It'd be like you and I drinking a glass of wine tonight and 2 jugs of whiskey tomorrow. So more is not better. Yeah. And so my father-in-law never exceeded a half a grain of rice. And so I'm showing to our audience that are watching via video, like a top of my little pen.
But the rice analogy is good. That's a good visual.
Yeah. And so, but just to show you, so we incorporated, again, half a grain of rice under his tongue at night before bed. And the reason we did that, because his formulation was 4 parts THC, 1 part CBD, which are again different cannabinoids as well. And so again, not knowing, but just in my mind, common sense, less is more. Let's see how it is. And I always look at it as, you're not going to go out and run a marathon if you're not a marathon runner. I can go run 5, 10Ks, no problem, but my body's not set, and I probably could get to a marathon, but I'd have to, train my hips, my knees, my ankles, everything. And so the same thing with cannabis. Start low. We all have receptors in our body, and some receptors, some people are professional athletes when it comes to running a marathon, others are not. So let your body see where your body reacts. So we incorporated this fecal oil into his system. And so we were doing the 3 milligrams of the combined THC, CBD, the raw and heated, I'll say. So back to your audience too, about heated cannabis and raw cannabis. So remember in the 80s, 70s, people would juice wheatgrass.
Yeah.
And so you can juice, but you can juice a cannabis plant, and it could be a high THC plant. You can juice it. You can juice any cannabis plant, but juice the cannabis plant. And when you juice it, it will be in the acid form, non-psychoactive. It's not like LSD acid, but it's the acid form raw. And you can juice that, and it's non-psychoactive. It's great for inflammation, great for cancer fighters. And so again, bringing in the cannabinoid discussion, each cannabinoid plays a part. And so, people always ask me, does it work for this? Does it work for that? And I always say, it's not like duct tape with a million. I don't want to say it's like duct tape with 1,000,001 uses, but when you really get down to nitty gritty, it has a lot of benefits. And I know you were saying on our YouTube, I didn't want to cut you off if you're doing.
Oh, no, I was
break
gonna.
right now.
Hey, you ruined my segue,
I know. You know what?
John.
I'm sorry. I'm a courteous guest. I see Benny up there freaking out. I see you looking at the clock. I'm like,
oh, not at all.
When's he going to stop? When's he going to stop? So,
oh, I love it. All right. With that, thank you, John. Thank you very much. We are going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to keep having this quality conversation about cannabis, about what this looks like. And it's all different shapes and sizes, guys, including the actual amount that you take, your body. And it's important that you get a professional that's going to help you to discern what that looks like, what that feels like, what it's doing to your body, your mind, all of that, because we want you in homeostasis, but there's a whole thing that's got to happen first. So with that, we are going to take a quick commercial break. We're talking to John Malanca with United Patient Group. You can find that on the website at unitedpatientsgroup.com. So we're going to come back with a commercial. Thanks, Benny.
All clear. Still live on the old Facebook.
Hi, Facebook.
Hi, Facebook. Yeah, it's funny. So have you been a guest on other people's shows before? It's kind of the first few times you're like, okay, I'm supposed to ask questions or
yes,
not. So,
yes. No, go ahead. Yeah.
But I'm always courteous on time because of being in your seat, looking at the, telling the guest, we'll do it for 45 minutes or we'll do it for an hour, and so just seeing where you are there as well. But hello, Facebook world. So thanks for having me on.
Hi, Facebook.
Yeah, love your energy. I mean, this is when they said we have one for 8 a.m., I'm like, where is she at East Coast? I'm like, no, she's up in the Washington.
Who are those? Benny's been in studio since 5, I think, 4 or 5.
Yeah, he said. Wait, how many shows you do a day? 7, you said?
About that, yeah, give or take.
Yeah,
and then
5 days a week.
I'm here around 4:30.
Yeah, but there's editing and there's commercials. There's a whole slew of stuff he's doing as well. So,
yeah, 3:45 comes early for me.
What was that?
3:45 comes real early for me.
Yes.
I bet. What time you go to bed? 8:30?
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Or you may just stay up the whole.
I was gonna say he rolls in, or Benny hasn't left yet. No.
I've done an all-nighter if the time or two I've slept here in the studio. Sure.
Well, good.
I was checking. All right. Facebook guys, we are talking with John Malanca, and it is the United Patients Group. And he created this from a need, a passion and a need from his father-in-law. And it started, the whole journey started with your father-in-law, and then it kind of exploded into this beautiful animal of its own. But what I really want to get across is the quality of the information, the quality of the doctors, the quality of the products, the quality of the information, not the water cooler conversation, not the hype. And John and his team are not going to be, oh no, this is the Willy Wonka golden ticket. That's not at all what this is about. This is about you educating yourself, you being able to discern what's right for you, your family member, if you're in a position where you have to make those choices. Get the education. You can do that at United Patients Group. United Patients with an S.
Patients with a group. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ready to come
Where are
back
we
in?
at on commercial, babe? Good.
We're coming back in. Here we go.
Okay.
Give a damn for me.
Hey, welcome back. Sue Lundquist here with the Gratitude Cafe. Hello, Pacific Northwesters in Radio Town, USA. Isn't that the Radio Town, USA? That kind of sounded fun, but isn't there something to do with that Radio Town, USA? I don't know. I'm rolling with it. Anyways, hi, Seattle and podcast world, Mexico, Canada, the UK, all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Sue Lundquist, your host with the Gratitude Cafe. I have got John here. We're talking with United Patients Group, his company that is helping, fostering, educating people of all shapes and sizes. And I'm using my words specifically, all shapes and sizes, because that's important. It's not like we were talking about at the top of the hour, it's not about the Willy Wonka golden ticket. It's not that. It's about educating yourself and discerning and figuring out what's right for you and getting the quality information and the quality product. Thank you for joining us, John.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Start where we left off.
Sure.
Okay. Well, there's a good outcome here. And so,
Yes.
So we went with the coconut oil capsule for the first 6 months, again, leading blind, not knowing anything.
Yeah.
And then at that time, at the 6 month mark, we incorporated the fecal oil, which is the full extract cannabis oil, still minute amount. It was 4 parts THC, 1 part CBD. And that's the part I'm certain that a lot of your audience is hearing in the news about CBD.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about that? Because CBD, even the language was introduced to me like 3 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's CBD? Pot was pot back there. It was
And
purple
that's
bud.
exactly, yeah. And that's
I'm like,
exactly what we went in there for.
CBD? Yeah.
So it's a cannabinoid. Cannabidiol is the medical term, but that's exactly when I thought pot was pot. You just walked in there. Can we have that? Can we have that? And I didn't know we didn't know the medical benefits. And so at the 9 month mark, and every day we would call, did he make it through the night? How's he doing? What's going on? And just life kept on getting better. And at 9 months, we were watching TV at night. Saturday night, the phone rang, 10 o'clock, still remember that. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, here's that dreaded call.
Ugh.
My mother-in-law, we were like, is everything okay? She said, check your email. She was never going to get scanned. And we jumped out of bed and we pulled it up, and it was from Kaiser, and it said no evidence of recurrent disease, and talked about the tears of joy and like, oh my gosh. So we like, is this really? I mean, it's like, and so people would ask us, well, first off, you didn't take a gram a day. And I said, no. So are you telling the truth? And we'd go, how dare you?
Because of the fear and the doubt, right?
Well, fear and the doubt, and then what the media talks about, and what the internet talks about. You have to take a gram. So everyone was taking these grams, and I just think it was too much. And so people said, did you film it? I said, I wish I filmed it, but we never knew that he was going to make it past day 2 after going in. I mean, so it had just been like, I didn't want to put a camera on a guy who's dying, and people were looking at us. Anyway, so at that point we were like, I'll be darned, there must be something here. And so we started doing a lot of researching, putting papers on the site, going to medical conferences. There's some great medical conferences in this industry as well. And so that's what Corinne and I did. We built a reputation for families just like us. And I mentioned government, different countries have called us in for education and information. That's what we wanted to build our reputation and prided ourselves on education and information. We didn't want to have a product. We don't sell a product. We do have a couple of products on the site now, but we know we don't sell a product. And a lot of companies, which was, I don't want to say bait and switch, but I always tell people, be careful of the people that say, Sue, you need this, and you need this. Oh, by the way, we have it. And so when people are going through something as severe as cancer, you're going to have a lot of people coming at you and trying to sell you things. So I would say step back, gather your thoughts of what you want to do, and and then go that route. So as I mentioned, I've seen this plant work and the education that's out there. We're not Mormon. The Mormons brought us in twice. What an honor. I mean, that's for being an outside group coming in. People are like, hey, and the Mormons are like, how did you make it in here? But they brought us in because they had Salt Lake City is like the sixth largest opioid epidemic in the US. And so they wanted to see if there's another option besides opioids, and maybe cannabis could be beneficial. And so right at that time, cannabis was still a CBD only law state in Utah, approved for epilepsy, but not for pain and not for cancer. And so they wanted this education. US government, we were the first company to be brought into the US government for a day of education in the US Capitol in DC. What an honor that was. And that wasn't an open mic. That was them inviting us. We came in, brought our stuff in the US Capitol, and it was just like, and we did a day of education. We had lunch in the rotunda, statues, the paintings, history, and to see what happened back on the 6th of January, going, God, we were right there. We were right there. And so, so we pride ourselves on helping and paying it forward. And we do this in our own private life. And we just brought that same mentality to the public life of helping. And, as I mentioned, it's not a one size fits all. And back in 2017, my wife, who I called Mary Poppins, didn't drink, didn't smoke, perfect health, she started having stomach aches, and we're like, what's going on? So we did, and our doctors are our friends, and we go to naturopath doctors, and anybody out there, and I'll get into why I like naturopath doctors, but they did three blood tests, and they all three came back negative over the 2-3 month period. And they said, guys, no, you guys are like our perfect pupils of health. And June of that year, stomach was not doing well. She wasn't into riding or running or hiking or anything like that. And so we ended up doing an ultrasound, and they came back on June 29th. I'll never forget sitting at our conference table in the office, planning my 50th birthday, our wedding anniversary. We were going to go, celebrate wedding and 50, 50 years of being on this earth. And we get the call from our doctor, and we thought it was just an ulcer or something. And they said, guys, and they were tearing up. And I said, what's going on? Corinne has a 4-centimeter mass on her pancreas. I said, well, what does that mean? It's pancreatic cancer. And it's just like, just life.
Yeah.
So for audience members, I always share with everybody, life can change in a bloody instant. So, love yourself, but love your family members. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you're with anything, with your husband, wife, partner, family members, because, when you can have everything in the world, but when you don't have your health, it just takes you down. And so we had a lot of faith in God and meditating, which I heard you say at the beginning, prayer, visualization. But you said, okay, this is not how our life is supposed to be. And because we had a great outcome with Corinne's father, we're going to have a great outcome with you, babe. And so we consulted with doctors all around the world, from Australia, New Zealand, Italy, UK, on the recommendation of our doctor up here down here in California. They said they should go down to Mexico, and I'm thinking, man, I'm not going to be that dude bringing his wife down to Mexico. But I researched it, and it was an American doctor that's down there that has been down there for about 18 years, and he was just tired of the FDA. The thing that's frustrating is like, I don't want to give anybody false hope, but give them options, give them opportunities. And the only reason that we were able to use cannabis, and the only reason we thought about cannabis, is because we happen to live in a legal state, and it was popping up on the news every day. Cannabis. We're like, okay, let's try cannabis, And so I work with so many families and patients all around the world, but here in the US, where cannabis just until recently is legal in 35 states medically, and 15 states recreationally, which is adult use 21 and over, like we have in California, Oregon, as well as in Washington right now, and Colorado. And, so that's the only reason. And we had that opportunity. And may work, it might not work. And so with us, with my father-in-law, it worked, and that's why that's what put us on this path. We did everything from ozone to stem cells to the high vitamin C to.
Yep.
We did not do conventional. We did go to meet some major cancer organizations or universities, Stanford, University of California, San Francisco, and we lived in Marin, and so we went to Marin General. And the thing, just to research, and the thing that really stood out was we were just a number to them, meaning, okay, Sue, we'll get you in tomorrow. Well, let me research. What do you need to research? And so I said, let's talk about nutrition. Corinne, whatever you want. You want a hot fudge sundae, pizza, steak, burger, go for it. I just look at them like, doesn't cancer thrive on sugar and everything else? And the thing that drove me nuts was middle of July, August, September, you're leaving these places and they have a big Halloween bowl of candy. And that just blew my mind. So we did not, and everyone's journey is different. So I'm not saying cannabis over conventional because I'm here because of conventional. And you can use cannabis in conjunction with other modalities. Patients that are going through chemoradiation, you can use cannabis. It's not going to zero each other out. Cannabis will help with nausea, appetite stimulation, sleep, which is so important, mood, as well as healing. And so why not incorporate those? And so you don't have to wait, because we have a lot of patients who say, I'm going to try this, and if this does not work, then I'll try this. It doesn't matter if it's cannabis first or chemotherapy first.
And well, wait, John, that's a really important thing to say, because one at a time, micro, one at a time, instead of, oh, okay, here, let's put it all in there, because you don't know what's working or not working. So we'll back up and just take, right? John, go ahead.
Yeah, and so great point, because less is more as well, and so one, it could be because it's not covered by insurance and not everybody has money trees growing in their backyard. It'll save on money. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks to see what that sweet spot is. So don't think, oh, it's not working day one. Stick with it for a bit and see what's going on. I always say, if you're going through something as severe as cancer, get a cancer marker first, get your tests, and then try your whatever modality you're using, and then test again, 3 to 6 months, and just see how. I should say 3 to 6 months, 90 days. When you go through, 90 days on that, just to see where your markers are as well. And you were going to say something, Sue. Sorry.
Well, no, I think I love this conversation, but I'm hearing this, and it's from the top of the hour when you were talking about, you guys came from a health, you didn't do your Mary Poppins, your love of your life, right? She doesn't do drugs. She doesn't drink. There wasn't any of that in your environment. I want to talk about the shame and the guilt, that kind of umbrella that says, oh, I can't do that. Oh, but that old illusion, that old story. Well, can we talk about that?
Yes. And so it because of the stigma. It's funny you say that. And it's earlier in the show when I was going down my timeline, and I'm like, do I bring it up or not? So for the first 9 months, I didn't put Malanca in any of our press releases. Nothing was there because of the stigma. When I started this, I'm thinking, how do I tell my mom? My dad had passed about a year and a half prior. I'm thinking, great, she's thinking I'm just having, fun with my girlfriend, and little as I'm working 15, 16 hours building a site and everything else like that. And I remember that we did our first conference, and I know for the reason of time, I won't get into the whole conference. We were out of town, and I always talk to my mom, good morning, how's the day going, in the middle of the day, and then night. We always talk, and then and I stop by and say hi to her all the time. But and I never lie to my mom. What are you doing this weekend? Oh, Corinne and I are down, shopping. Well, you have shopping in your town or San Francisco. But we were at this conference, and we launched it, and I said it was a total success. And I said, Mom, can I, I'll come over Monday and I'll share. I would love to have dinner. So we had dinner. She knew what was going on with Corinne's father. Went in my dad's home office, and we sat there, and I pulled up the website, and she's looked at me and said, God, your father would be so proud of you.
Oh my God.
And it was just like tears of happiness going, oh, I don't have to feel guilty about, hi, Mom, I'm in the cannabis industry now, type of thing.
Yeah,
and so
putting my name to this.
Oh my gosh.
Name.
And
Yeah.
And so what really put, and there were colleagues in the industry that were upset with me. Like, how can you not put your last name? What's going on? And I said, listen, wasn't my lifestyle.
Right.
How do you, I mean, I don't want to offend family members or hurt their feelings with the last
Right.
name Malanca. Like, wait a minute, I'm not saying that, we're all angels with the halo overhead, but
We
yeah.
all have our own journey. But the reason
Yeah.
in the audience, I'm going to swing us back around. The reason I asked that question about shame and guilt and that illusion and that dialogue that you could be having in your head, and or family members from the past,
Yep.
or a book or something in the news that you read. We're 80s kids. I mean, we grew up, it was all illegal.
Totally.
There was
Totally.
purple bud and we were sneaking in the back, taking a little hit, and we're like, woohoo, but now, oh, Benny, what? You're like,
He's like, Sue, I learned something about you.
I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, what is that?
Oh yeah, right.
Well, I knew.
Story.
They said it was purple bud, but I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
you were very
in total
specific. You were very specific. You were very
Yeah.
specific for that
In
term.
total transparency, I cannot do THC. I can't. My body will not. And
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'll
with
give
the
you that.
CBD, I was like, what is that? And I was having some back pain and sleeping issues, and they're like, oh no, try this.
Yeah.
And
But the thing with on your point is, people will come to us and say, I want the medical part of the plant, not the recreational part of the plant. So in their mind, THC is recreational as well as CBD medical.
right.
So I use analogy with my brother's been in the wine business for 20 something years. And so you and I can go wine tasting.
Hook me up.
Hook her girl
I
up.
love my red wine.
And but you can go wine tasting, have a couple sips, and you're perfectly fine. You drink 3 bottles, you're going to feel something. And the same thing with THC. You can have success with less is more. 1 milligram, not feeling anything, but it's doing what it's supposed to do, bringing the body back to balance. I had a doctor on the other day, and he said, John, there are so many things. Cannabis is wonderful for bringing the body back to homeostasis balance, but a hug, a compliment, a smile, a cup of coffee, watching your football team beat the 49ers.
John totally dropped that for you, Benny.
Oh, you know it.
Here he comes.
I'm gonna give him some love right here.
There you go.
To all of our Seattle Seahawks. I know I'm a Seattle Seahawker. Big
there
time.
you go.
Yeah.
So I don't even know where we are there, but so back to let me get into two things. One, my wife passed on October 18th, 19th, 2017 from pancreatic cancer. And we were completely convinced we were going to beat this awful disease, just because of our life, how we met. We met on an airplane. The only reason I met her on an airplane because I would spend all my time with my mom, making sure she was perfectly fine after my father passed. And she said, my buddy JJ, has a place down in Palm Springs. He said, come down. She said, go down, go golf, get out of here. And so I went down there. You gonna be okay? Yes. And she said, but I need you back up here for Wednesday morning for a tax meeting. I said, no problem. So I took the last flight out on Tuesday night, and I'm always on time. And anyway, I met Corinne. And we were inseparable ever since then. And so it's like, in our lives, it's the craziest thing. My aunt is married to, he's passed, Jerry, but he grew up with Corinne's mom, and their families grew up together. So my aunt and uncle have been in high school, and it's not even here in the Bay Area, it's down south. Wow. So and so when I shared that with my aunt, she goes, of course I know them, and so we had I can't tell you how, and they're oh boy, that's why we just thought God has blessed us. And going through this, Corinne and I we worked together, we lived together, we were traveled together, we were married for 24/7, and it was healthy. And I've had some wonderful relationships in my life, and this was perfect on every level, And so that's the part of life that I don't understand. Of we meet, her father becomes ill, we say something, he's alive, we start an organization, we help others, and then my wife gets sick. And so, but we would always laugh, like, how do we fall more in love with each other? And so any of your listeners maybe can also relate to this. When you're a caregiver and one, already in love with the person, and you're
Right.
taking it to the last level of being a caregiver, helping them go to doctor's appointments, restroom, everything. It's a bond. It's a bond. And but we laughed like, God, how do we find this other dimension? We cannot wait to get out of this chapter to explore this new thing.
Yeah.
And so Corinne turned 55 on October 15th, and she passed in my arms a few days later, and I took her last breath, and so she's in me, and that's the part. And so I've had to really dig deep of, I didn't go down the rabbit hole of alcohol and drugs or food or depression. I mean, yeah, depression. I do grief counseling, but my drug of choice has been my road bike and my running. And I just go, and there's day, and I feel so connected with her. So any of your audience members, go out, get some fresh air, get some sunlight if you're able to, move. If you're, even if you're in a wheelchair and you have access to your eyes or your neck or even your fingers, movement is so important. And it's amazing. I'll stop in the middle of the day and I'll go outside for 5-10 minutes, take a breath, and come back and start working again. And it's amazing what that can do to your psyche as well. And so, I continue on, and it's tough because I never thought, I waited to get married, and I thought, we will be like her grandparents, 98, 97,
Right.
et cetera. And so that's one thing that's my motto in life that I share with family members, is don't sweat the small stuff. I know we're getting close to time, so not everything with cannabis is with cancer, but a lot of sleep is so important. I have a lot of women that will call, John, I have an issue with sleep and depression and anxiety. And I'll say, I think cannabis is wonderful, but it could be a Band-Aid. My advice is go to a naturopath. And the reason I said naturopath earlier, they'll give you a blood test through A through double Z, where a normal doctor will give you A through Z, and they'll show exactly where everything is. And a lot of times your hormones are off. And so you balance that, plant-based hormones, you take care of your sleep, and you're like, I'll be darned.
Yeah, it's not, I love this conversation, John, because and I'm that person. I am not the big pill mentality. It's not fast food for me. And for those of you in the Pacific Northwest, I'm going to recommend Dr. Darvish. Is it Nushin Darvish? Is it Nushin? Nushin, yeah. I always call her Dr. D, Dr. Darvish, and Holistic Medical Center in Bellevue, hands down, is the best naturopathic. And they also have an IV, the first IV lounge that's high quality. It's incredible. So if you in the Pacific Northwest, actually, she's international. So if that's something that resonates with you, look her up. Go ahead, John.
And for those IVs, and I know we're counting down on time, I'm a big fan. And we've been doing IVs for the last 10 years. And IVs, you can get immunity boost, kidney cleanse, the whole works. And I'm a big fan of that. And I wish we had another hour, because I can go on the whole path about naturopath and what they can find and the benefits of staying on top of your health. And it's a balance. It's a mind, body, spirit balance. You don't, and I use the example. So Lexi, my youngest, she had a head injury, and everybody around me was like, no, go take her to this, give her a pill, do this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to put that chemical in her body to make it even more imbalanced. Yeah. It took 2.5 years to get her back, but I wasn't allowing the medical industry, even my in-laws or other people at that time, to say, no, give her the pill, she's in pain. I'm like, no, we can do acupuncture, we can do this, So please, the audience, the reason I'm saying this, and I believe John is as well, look at the whole body, go to the naturopath, get the tests that are, A to double Z, like you were talking about, John. Okay, go ahead, John. So anyway, I know we're shutting down on time here. You're good, Ben. You're good. Talk to, anybody going through something as severe as cancer or other ailments. Talk to a medical professional. On our site, not trying to push anything on the site. If I truly believe, go with us or someone else, you truly need to meet with a medical professional. Absolutely. They will find a formulation, guidance, dosing protocol specifically designed for you to find what works for you. As I mentioned, it's not a one size fits all. On the site, we do have medical professionals that consult with patients and families, and your doctors are more than welcome to be on that call, so everyone's on the same page. not only here in the US, but globally. And so go for it.
Thank you. Well, first of all, audience, I'm going to ask you some questions. Do you want quality? Do you want?
You know what? I didn't even get into the whole quality of what to look out for too. Anyway, go on.
But it's all there. You guys go to unitedpatientsgroup.com. United Patients with an S. Group.com. Benny's put it on the Facebook page, and of course, I'll have all the social media and information for you.
And I also do a podcast as well, and I'd love to have you on that show as well.
I'd love to. Yay! I would love to. Send me an email when we get done here. I would love to. So if you are looking for that quality and that confidence, and it's not the one big pill mentality, right? They're going to help you find the information that you need. If it's not their doctors, they're going to help you with that. So please go to unitedpatientsgroup.com, check out John and everything that they have to offer. This has been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for joining us, John and Benny. Thank you so much, love. And John, I'd love to jump on the show with you. That would be wonderful.
Awesome.
All right. So
what a great experience. So thank you, Benny, and thank you, Sue, as well. I wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. All right, guys. Remember, go to SueLundquist.com/newsletter if you want to get the newsletter, get all the juicy stuff behind the scenes, the podcast, the links, the good stuff. Well, the other good stuff. Okay. Until next time, each of you are a gift. Get out there and share yourself with the world.